Hi, welcome to my latest video. Today I'm going to do a quick video looking at this thing here. Not this is the common rail, and not this ducting. It's the black grimy thing behind it, which is a kind of cover that goes on the back of the engine and forms a sort of chamber for the blow-by gas from the crankcase, which comes up this pipe here and then goes round, and then it's got a thing there called a PCV valve, positive crankcase ventilation valve. But what is it? What's inside there? Is there a spring? Is there a diaphragm? Is there both? Okay, so I've actually bought one of those, and I'm going to take it apart, and I'm going to answer some of the questions that I've got and some of the questions that I'm sure you've got. What's inside that? How do you remove that kind of thing at the end there? Can these domed things be removed safely? What size are these pipes here? Can we replace that with a bit of silicone? How do you get at the camshaft sensor, and how do you remove that to change that? And various other things. So that is today's video. This was going to be part 2 of the catch cam video, but I've decided to actually break out that footage as a separate video. Okay, so I've bought a second-hand one of those covers, and I'm now going to start dismantling it, and we'll see what's inside. I've bought myself a thing. I don't know what this is actually called. Okay, it's sort of like a cam cover or PCV valve. I don't even want to touch it. It's really, really grimy. Okay, so let me try and hold it by the cleanest part. Okay, so this kind of goes that way round. That's the way round that it was a minute ago on my engine. Okay, so there's the output there. So this one, yeah, you can see that kind of swivels. Okay, and there's also, in the last video, I was wrestling with this, trying to remove that, because look at it, it's loose. You see, it moves around, and I was worried oil was leaking out, and I just couldn't. I was reaching around the back, I just couldn't feel how to release that. Now that I've actually got this one on the bench here, I can see there's this yellow thing here, and it looks like you actually press that. I wonder if that's going to come off right now. I really need gloves. This is... no, it's not. Okay, I'm going to get some gloves on. I've got some degreaser here. Okay, so I'm going to spray. This is really, really, I mean, this is even dirtier than the one on my engine. So I'm going to clean this up, and this is just an old second-hand scrap one. Okay, so I can do stuff to this. I'll pull it apart. We've got, interestingly, a sensor here. There's a plug there. I wonder what that is. Oh, that's probably a cam sensor, possibly. There's this thing, sort of radioactive kind of symbol on it. I think that's actually an air admittance valve. It could be a pressure relief valve, although the pressure usually relieves sort of out here. I don't know, pressure relief, or when the engine's cooling down, it might need to suck a little bit of air in. So I'll prise that apart. We'll see what it is, see which direction I think the air is going through that. And then we've got sort of bits of hose here. This funny bit of hose. Oh, that's all. Well, look, that's been cut there. It's all split. Okay, so that would be interesting to actually measure the outputs there and here. Possibility of adding a little bit more blue silicone hose there. This funny old rubber one, especially if it ends up failing like that. Look at the state of that. Oh my God, that's full of dirt. I don't know what that is in there. Oh, that's terrible. Well, just goes to show what sort of builds up inside these pipes. Yeah, all the more reason to fit a catch can, really. Let's just have a quick flip over. Okay, so this has got a sort of funny, I don't know what these things are. These are like strange kind of weird things sticking up with holes in. We've got seals here. These are definitely seals. There's rubber seals there. Yeah. And then you've got the sort of main area here with also with a seal around it. Now if you were changing this, you'd probably get a new cover with new seals, but these, yeah, you see there's always the possibility, what I'm thinking here is that on my one these seals have just got old and perished, and oil might be coming out under these, not because anything's kind of broken, it's just the seals have just got old really, and then just stopped sealing. Yeah, it would be interesting to remove mine. Actually, I mean, it's quite a job to remove this. Look, there's bolt holes all over the place, loads of bolt holes. But interestingly, no. Actually, see, this is the thing here. There's no bolts down the back. But that actually, yeah, it's only this area here that's sort of sealed to the top of the engine, and these two, and that's it. This actually is just like a sort of box. It's just kind of like a chamber, okay, and that just sits on top of the back of the engine. So that's why there's no bolts along there. There's some kind of clips here for pipes and things. I don't know what this is. I'm not sure what that is. There's a bolt here, like an Allen head bolt. That almost looks like a sort of a sensor or something maybe went in there. Pit Lane Kitty's out here. She's going to help me with this. We're going to take it apart as much as I can, clean it up. Kitty, down from there. Yeah, so I'll give this a clean up. It'll just be interesting to see what I can find in this. Okay, right, so that's half a can of engine degreaser, followed by most of a can of brake cleaner. As you can see, it's dissolved quite a lot of that oily muck that was on that. Just let this dry off a bit. I know that the degreaser, you're meant to put it on and then wash it off with water, but yeah, I decided to go down the kind of solvent route really, and just degrease it off with this brake cleaner. Works really well. Right. Okay, that looks a bit better. It's not spotlessly clean, but it's clean enough for me to work on now, to take apart and check various things. So I'm going to remove this. We'll see how to remove that. I'm going to remove that. We'll see what's underneath the PCV valve. I'm going to remove these and see what's under them. And take this pipe off, this bit. I'm also going to try and remove this sensor, which looks like a camshaft position sensor. And I'm also going to take this thing apart and see what's under that. Okay, that'll give us a better clue as to what goes on with this housing bolts on the back of the engine. Right, let's get some tools out. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is try and remove this sort of 90-degree output here, okay, because that's a bit loose and a bit wobbly, and my one on the car is much looser than that. I think that oil is getting out underneath this. Okay, it's not really making a very sort of positive sort of seal onto this bit of pipe. So I was wrestling with this for ages in part one, just couldn't find anything to press, and of course I couldn't see it properly. The whole thing was covered in black oily grime. What I didn't realise is round the back is this yellow thing. All you do is you press that and it just comes off. Easy as that. Easy as that. I just can't believe, with all that kind of gripping and pulling and turning it, I didn't, just should have squeezed it a little bit tighter and it would have come straight off. So yeah, well, there's that. Okay, so that output there looks about the same size. This is sort of takes a 19mm hose. That looks like 19 as well, 19 to 20. It's going to work with the same piece of hose, provided it can get over that little lip there and sort of go a bit further on with a Jubilee clip. Otherwise we're going to be kind of clipped onto that, and there's no barb or sort of flanged end on that. Okay, so that could just pull straight off. So it does need to get over that step there. Okay, that's that mystery solved with that. Let's have a look. Before I open that up, let's just see if I can do something with these whilst we're on the subject of hoses and pipes. Let's see if I can. There we go. These things kind of like expand out. Right, that's strange. That's got a kind of captive thing there. Right, okay, yeah, no, that's, yeah, opening right out. Is that going to come off? Come on. Oh, look at that. There we go. Okay, so the thing that was holding the clip on is actually, believe it or not, on the hose itself. The hose has got a little kind of bridge piece there stuck to it, which is actually formed out of the rubber to hold the clip. These horrible metal clips, I don't like those. Okay, so yeah, again, that there looks like, yeah, it's a sort of 19mm, same size as the other output. That does have a kind of what do they call it, swaged end, I think it's called, with a sort of barb there to kind of hold the hose. Okay, so you could actually replace that hose. I don't know where the other end of that hose is. It's like down the front of the engine somewhere, possibly sort of down below the like oil filler cap or somewhere like that. It disappears off down the end, but if you did want to replace that with blue silicone, yeah, you could. And it looks like 19mm is the size of hose that you need. Looking at that, that's Yeah, I mean that's probably about 20. I'll get my digital calipers in a moment and measure that and just tell you exactly what it is. But 19mm hose would go on that, because I'm already using one on this, and that is kind of the same. It's the same size as the sort of outer bit of those barbs there. Right, let's try and remove this other piece of hose. It comes apart the same way. There we go. Okay. Come on. There we go. Okay, that's coming off. Similar sort of thing. Clip attached. It's got this kind of protection sort of sock on it there. It's just to prevent it rubbing through, I think. But that looks to be the same size as that. Let's give that a bit of a clean up. Now what I'll probably do is clean this up more, and actually at some point in the future swap the one that's on my car with this one. I'll get some new seals. I've thrown away the old seals and no use at all. Clean this right up and actually fit it to my car. I've got one more clip here. Okay. So this piece here is actually a chamber. There was me thinking that was just like a cover that was sort of on the back of the engine, kind of stuck down onto, I don't know, over the camshaft or something. I was calling it the cam cover, although, yeah, it's not really. It's more just a kind of PCV housing or something like that. I'll have to look up what this actually is sold as, the description of it. I'll put it at the bottom of the screen now if I find the answer. If I don't find the answer and it doesn't appear at the bottom of the screen, then leave a comment and let me know. What do you call this thing? What do you call this thing? I know that Frenchie's Road Trip, the other YouTubers, changed this. Theirs was leaking or something, I don't know what had happened. I think the PCV had blocked up and they had to change this whole thing. Like quite a major job, and yeah, it blew out their seals on the clutch. Blew out the seals both sides of the engine, I think. Flywheel seal and crankshaft pulley seal. Oil everywhere. Okay, so there's a couple of things here. Those are rubber blocks there. Yeah, the rubber blocks. Yep, come on. There's obviously something that sits against their common rail. Common rail, I think, sits there. It's come off and left a horrible gluey mess. Yeah. Just adds a little bit of cushioning. Not that these things should be really rubbing together, but I suppose as the engine shakes when it's running, it could cause a problem. Okay, that's looking a bit better now. This is the camshaft sensor, so it sort of kind of pokes through here, which is the housing where the timing belt is, I think. Pretty sure that kind of curve looks like a There'll be a timing belt pulley there because the cam belt cover, timing belt cover, does sort of mate up to there. This screw here, I think, is the one that's missing on my car, where it's gone, but the cover's a little bit loose, so I need to put that back. And yeah, look at that, that is a threaded hole there. I wonder if the threaded insert has gone missing. That's probably why it's come loose. Okay, when I take the ducting off mine, I'll have a closer look at that and see what's going on. So these holes here definitely go down inside. Okay, so those bolts do need to be fitted. These ones here, right, that one doesn't go all the way through. Okay, so that little kind of looks like a piece from Cluedo, a little sort of dome clippy thing. These are not used to clip the engine cover down. Certainly that one isn't. I don't think this is used. I'm pretty sure they're both visible on mine, and the engine cover sort of goes kind of here. Possibly that one is needed. Not sure. I'll have a look on mine, but that one definitely isn't required because it's sitting underneath my ducting. That may possibly have been where the factory duct clips on. Not sure. Leave a comment, let me know if you're using that one at all on your engine, or this one. Okay, right, let's get the cam sensor out. This one here, I can't see the other side of that, so I'll have to remove it and see if it leaves a hole. And then there's this, right, I can't resist pulling this thing apart. I wonder if it unscrews. Oh, it's loose. I'm not sure what this is. Yeah, look, it just pulls out. Right, what is this? What is it? It's some sort of pressure relief valve, but it might actually be working to allow air in. Right. Okay. Right, so there you go. So there is a kind of a sealing kind of ring. I don't know if it's actually a seal, it's just a ring. That goes right through, and that has a little plunger that presses up on a spring. So it isn't to allow air in, because that's normally closed, okay? But then when the pressure builds, it presses up on that spring and vents out. So it is a pressure relief valve, just in case things block up. I mean, it's very interesting actually that French's road trip had all these seals blow out when a PCV blocked up. This should have prevented that. So if you ever see a load of gas coming out of that, be careful. It might mean you've got a blockage further downstream. Okay, so that really shouldn't be venting anything, because that's coming straight out to atmosphere. The gas should be coming out of here freely and going off round to the inlet through a catch can or whatever, however you've got yours configured, but it shouldn't be coming out of this thing. Right, okay, I'm just going to put that aside for now. Some of these things I'm going to throw away, others I'm going to keep. Right, so these bits can go. I'll keep that, I'll keep that. Right, I'm going to remove the cam sensor, and I'm going to remove these two. Okay, so cam sensor there, that's a, I think a 5mm. What does it even say on here? 4mm, 4mm. Allen key. Okay, there you go. That's how you remove the cam sensor. Now you might be wondering what the symptoms are of a faulty cam sensor. Well, the crank sensor is the usual one that plays up, and the symptoms of a crank sensor failing are a very harsh jolting when accelerating. So if you go and accelerate and the car sort of does a lurch and a jolt, that's probably the crank sensor, and that's also lower down on the side of the engine, so it's a lot more susceptible to water and dirt getting in. It's very rarely the actual sensor that goes, it's the connector to it. Okay, this is very similar. They're both Hall effect sensors. Okay, so they're sort of magnetic sensors with I think they call it a reluctor ring or something. It's a sort of ring, and it detects like a missing tooth or something like that. Okay, the crank sensor is what is used for the timing, and it measures the engine speed. Okay, so that rotates once with every crankshaft rotation, or it measures one per crankshaft rotation, and that's sort of really controls the fueling, and on a petrol engine would control the ignition timing as well. The cam sensor is used as well to work out the sort of top dead center location. Okay, because it's a 4-stroke engine, if you just have something that measures on the crankshaft turning, you don't know if it's on the compression stroke or the exhaust stroke. The cam turns at half the speed than the crank. Okay, so this one, when this sends its signal, that says it's at the top of the ignition stroke or the induction stroke, or it knows which one of the 4 strokes it's on. Okay, so that's why you have a cam sensor as well as a crank sensor. They're both very important, although I would say that the crank sensor is the more troublesome of the two. If you have jolting and kind of engine cutting out, my car's it's never really sort of broken down. It's only broke down kind of once, and that was the crank sensor, but I got it going at the side of the road. Just did a battery reset and bit of WD-40 on the connector, and the car, away it went. Started up and carried on. If you've changed your crank sensor and you've still got issues, try changing this one. So that's the cam sensor, and that's how it fits in. Okay, dead easy to remove and change. Worth keeping one of those and a crankshaft sensor in your glove box. You never know when you might need it. You never know how far away from home you're going to be. Okay, luckily when mine went, it was I was only about 3 miles down the road, and I managed to get it going again. You may not be so lucky. Okay. Right. What else can I do? I'm going to take these things out now, and I'm gearing myself up for this. That will be the big reveal. What is this here? Just looking at this, there's a bolt there. Right, let's just undo this and just see what sort of odd bolt in there. I don't know if that releases this or something. Let's just have a look at this. Just see what is behind there. Ah, right, now that's interesting. That's a sort of like a blanking plate. Right, yeah, it's like a blanking plug. Okay, so there's a sort of like a rubber, that's, yeah, sort of a plastic thing with a rubber O-ring on it, and that goes in here. Not sure what that is. That almost looks like something that possibly is only used on the petrol models, or is for future use, or maybe in different countries they have different emissions laws. Okay, so might be some sort of blow by gas outlet coming out of there or something. I don't know. I don't know where that goes. Let's see if let's just plug that in. Ah, yeah, right. Okay, so that goes into this chamber. So yeah, that's interesting actually. Why they would need an output there when they've got one here? Ah, but that one is on the other side of the PCV. That's before it. That looks like it goes down into just into the main body. Interesting. If anybody watching knows what that hole there is for, leave a comment, let us know. Okay, right, let's do these things. Keeps on sort of coming loose, and I think it's finger tight, and then it just jams up again. Now, I think, yeah, no, it's okay. I thought the threaded insert was turning as well. No, there it is, it's out. Okay, so, funny thing, clippy, globy thing, okay, and a threaded hole. Now let's just stick another Allen key down there. Oh, okay, alright, so that doesn't go all the way down inside, and this one here we know doesn't, because it's just not coming through the other side. Okay, so there's the answer. These things can be removed safely. Let's just remove the other one. So I'm going to remove them on my engine now. I don't think I'm using them. I have to just double check that the engine cover isn't using them. But yeah, that's definitely not left a hole there. Okay, so we are now on to the final thing, which is this, which apparently this just pops off. So let me find a little sharp kind of flat blade screwdriver, try and prise that off, and we'll see what is the PCV valve. Okay, I did a little whiteboard lecture in part 1. Hope it wasn't too long for you. I've actually had quite a few people message me saying they particularly enjoy my extra long whiteboard lectures and they'd like to see more of those. So I will remember that for the next video. Right. Okay, it's coming off. Not quite as easy to remove as I thought it would be. There we go. Just lever slightly against that. Right, here we go. Ready? Let's have a little look. Okay. Oh, right, so we've got a spring, and we've got a, what is this, a sort of rubber diaphragm-y thing. Okay, so that's a, yeah, like a rubber diaphragm there. That's just a cap, and that's just a spring. Right, pretty oily in here, as to be expected. Okay, I'm going to try and hold this up so you can see what goes on here. There is a hole here, down there. Let's just show you with an Allen key, right? So there is a hole which goes into this sort of chamber. So the gas comes up from the bottom of the engine, through here, through here, through here, and comes up around here. And then, so that is sitting there like that, and that spring is actually lifting that up in the centre. Let's just put that back in there. Yeah, you see that's actually pushing that up. Okay. So the gas will come out of there. Well, no, it'll come from here down the hole, which then comes out of this. So in the default state, that is actually lifted and is open. Okay, so a lot of people think that this sort of remains closed until a certain pressure is reached, and then it sort of lifts this. I don't think it's doing that, because to do that the spring would have to be on the other side. Okay, the spring's underneath, it's pushing it open. So it's sort of normally open thing. This is not kind of pressing against there. If that spring was on the other side, that would be pushed against there. That's not how it is. Okay, so that's open. What's the purpose of this? Why is this even in here? Unless this just seals against the lid. Just stops oil coming out under the lid, maybe, possibly. Another possibility is that this is sort of somehow protecting against like a vacuum or something like that. So if, let's see, yeah, if there was some sort of backfire, but that would still come out of there. And even if there was, now here's an interesting one. This connects to the inlet duct, doesn't it? Where there is a vacuum. Okay, so that will be pulling that down, like not as extreme as that, but it's basically pulling that centre of that downwards against the spring. When the vacuum reaches a certain level, it will seal here and won't be pulling out any more gas. Okay, so the engine the suction of the inlet duct sucks on here, but when the vacuum builds to a certain level, that will, like that, okay, it will suction down onto there like that. It won't be able to suck out any more blow-by gas. Okay, so it is a crankcase depression regulation valve or regulator. It's not really a PCV. Okay, and I did a bit of a whiteboard explanation of the differences in part 1. If you haven't seen that, go and have a look. Okay, but everyone calls this the PCV. Okay, they call it PCV. It's not a true PCV, but it regulates that suction on there. Why would you want to do that? Well, if you put too much vacuum on here, you're going to be possibly drawing air in past the seals, which could sort of aerate the oil and froth up the oil, but also in extreme cases it could actually pull the seals inwards. Okay, so rather than blowing out the seals, it actually pulls them in. Okay, so this is important, although I would say less important on a diesel engine. On a petrol, this is connected to the inlet, which has a throttle body, and if that is connected basically to the inlet manifold, that throttle body butterfly closes and you get a very, very high vacuum. Okay, so you would definitely need one of these. Okay, otherwise you're going to be pulling that huge suction on the crankcase. Okay, which is not a good thing. On a diesel, this connects to the inlet duct. there's I wouldn't even call it a vacuum, there's a low pressure in that duct, okay, due to the air filter. So the air filter causes a little bit of a restriction in the airflow, and that leads to the air pressure dropping a little bit. But the throttle butterfly on a diesel is not really a throttle butterfly, it's an air control valve, and it's there to close when you turn the engine off and allow it to shut down cleanly. Okay, so do we need that on a diesel? I don't think so. I don't think so. I just can't think of anything that would apply a very high vacuum to there. I mean, if the air filter got soaking wet and sort of blocked up due to being wet, then yes, you could get a high vacuum on there. The guys that do the Frenchies road trip video, they said that it was this, I think, that caused all their problems. But it had sort of blocked up in a positive way. It was stopping the gas coming out. It was almost as if somebody had fitted it with that spring. You know, it was... Yeah, so it was... Thing is, if that had stuck down like that would cause the problems. It would pressurise the crankcase. But why was it being stuck down there like that? Was the spring... Had the spring got really weak or something? Yeah, so an interesting one, really. I don't want to remove that from mine. Okay, I just feel that it's one of those parts it's fitted for a reason. I don't think it's quite so vital on a diesel, but I don't want to remove it. I don't want to risk anything that's going to cause a problem with the seals, okay, on the crankshaft. It cost me £1,300 to have my clutch done because oil had got onto the clutch plate due to the seals being worn out. They're brand new seals, and I don't want to damage them. Okay, so I think this is left well alone. Best left alone, really. That sort of fits in there. That spring is, you know, that's quite a strong spring. Okay, so you'd have to have a very high vacuum here to sort of cause a problem for that to sort of stay shut. And then don't forget you've got this, which is your sort of safety valve. So I'm struggling to see a condition where this would be sort of blocked up, really. The gas either comes out here or it comes out of there. Yeah, so another reason for keeping this in there is it does form a seal under that cap. If that cap was just fitted there, it's not a tight fit, it doesn't screw on, it just kind of clips on, and I think oil's going to leak out past there. Okay, so yeah, so that's the PCV, really, and that spring is definitely important because that keeps the seal away from that. I would even say it's worth just sort of stretching that a bit, maybe make it a bit stronger, I don't know. But you want to avoid the situation where that diaphragm is being sucked onto there, because that then blocks up the release of the gases. Right, well, there you go. Crankcase PCV cover dismantled. I hope that video was useful. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you very much for watching. Bye.